is Lady Butler, God's First Lady, putting God first in your life.
HIV, because again, I'm in the medical field, so I do understand HIPAA, and I understand that you cannot in no way tell anyone over the phone that they are HIV positive.
But at that moment, at the very moment, because when anybody is informed they have HIV or AIDS, they automatically feel as though my life is over, I'm going to die. How did you respond knowing that a woman over the phone, she told you but she didn't really tell you, but you now know I've contracted a disease that I possibly can go, I can lose my life over. What took place at that moment, like in your head?
Okay. In my head, I was like, wow, really? Like, literally.
But you said you laughed.
Yeah, I did. I was like, wow, really? I began to laugh, and I thanked her for her time. And she said, I need to schedule you to come in, and we can do some further testing and refer you to a doctor and blah, blah, blah. And so I said, no. I said, I'm fine. I'll call you back if I need you. And so when I hung up the phone, I began to laugh again because I'm like, are you serious?
Because that week, you had a lot
going on that week.
So on Monday, what happened on Monday?
Monday, I lost a cousin.
What happened on Tuesday?
Tuesday, my dad flipped off of I-95.
What happened on Wednesday?
Wednesday, they told me I had HIV. And
what happened on Thursday?
My died. So,
and we think we have problems. So imagine.
So that week was very interesting for me. I mean, to the point that everything that was happening, they had to call my job. And actually, as a result of everything, my job paid for me to go to counseling, which I did one visit, and I ended up counseling the therapist. So I was like, okay, I'm not going back.
But this is not a sad story because
no, it's not sad at all.
You did the total opposite of what a lot of people would have done. I commend this woman of God because when she got the results, she didn't go say, oh my God, let me go find a doctor. She said, I'm going to go find the what?
Healer.
The healer. So she took her situation directly to, I'm going to let you finish this part because I'm going to honestly say, you have a gift of faith because me, I would have been like, Mom, I'm finna die. I'm finna go get some medicine, let me go to this doctor. I probably wouldn't have even wanted to hear Jesus at that moment because to know that, hey, this is an incurable disease. But there was something that stood up within you, which was the power and the Holy Spirit, that little bit that you had, because I don't think you was in the church at the moment, were you?
I was in and out. I was raised in the church. Whenever I wanted to be in church, I was in church, and then I would, dip out, come back in. This is one of my dip out, come back in seasons. And
take us back to the healer. What did you do? Because when you finish hearing this story, I believe that there's a book that's going to come out of this whole interview because you did something that a lot of Christians don't do. We say that we trust God, but one thing that I believe, you cannot have doubt and faith at the same time because you cancel faith out. So as you go into the healer, which is the healer, through the blood, we got the blood on today, the blood of Christ Jesus. How did you, overcome hearing that you had HIV and what took place then?
Okay, so after I hung up the phone with her again, I laughed again when I spoke to the doctor I worked for, with giving her very minimal details because I don't believe, I didn't receive it. I did not receive it.
She did not receive it. Key number one, step one, she didn't receive it.
I heard what she said. Again, this is 2 years later. I'm now 20 years old. And I was like, okay. And so, I just kind of left work early because I couldn't, I believe that had I stayed, I would have kept researching and then it would have brought my spirits down. So as I'm leaving work, I told my ride, no, I'm going to take the bus home. And so when I got to the mall near my house, I called my mom, and that was when I had my one moment. And I said, Mom, I went to go give blood today, and they said I had HTLV. And she said, what is that? And I began to explain to her what all it was. But I did not tell her it was HTLV3. And so I just began to cry. And I'm crying. And she was like, what are you crying for? I was like, because Mom, they telling me I got this illness. And so she said to me, aren't you a child of God? And I was like, now, my mom was very emotional, so I really expected her to break down
to have a pity party with
and,
you.
Just really suck with me. But she was like, aren't you a child of God? I said, yes. And she said, he was wounded for your stripes, abused for for your iniquity. With his stripes, you already healed. And then she just began to speak all these different healing scriptures to me, and something resonated in my spirit. I was like, okay. I was like, Mom, I love you, thank you, I hung up the phone. And so she had called, I know she cried when she got phone with me, but she was a G on the phone. And so she ended up calling my pastor at the time, and she spoke with her about it. And I ended up going to her house, and we talked, and we basically prayed, pretty much shut in the whole weekend. And she had me studying healing scripture. She said, you have to, if you want to be healed, you have to go to the healer. Mm-hmm. And so I just began to study healing like intensively. And in my prayers were the scriptures. I began to remind God of his word. Yes. And if you say that you're God, you're not a man that you should lie. Yes. Then you have to manifest your word for me in my life. And when I gave it to God and I prayed on it, I truly believe you could not tell me that I did not have an encounter with God when I sought his presence for my healing. You could not tell me that God did not touch my body and heal me. Mm-hmm.
And this happened for a year.
Yes.
You did this for a year.
Yes. And so as I just continued to pray on it, and after that weekend, after actually praying and putting in my petition to God, I didn't pray for healing anymore. What I did was I began to thank him and rejoice for my healing. God, I thank you that I'm healed. I thank you I've been delivered. I thank you sickness, disease,
she's going to make us have church up in here.
Now my dwelling. Yes. And I stuck to it. And so now a year later, I decide, let me go back to the doctor and check up on myself. Mm-hmm. And
but before you did that, you got a lot of heat from your family that called you stupid. They said you were crazy.
Yes. A lot of people say, I've never heard of anybody not taking medicine. When the doctor tell you something wrong with you, because I don't take medication. If it's something natural I can do, give me a cup of tea, some sleep, some water, I'm doing it. But I will not take medication.
But it was something that you told me last night, and it made sense. You said something about medication. It does not heal you.
Yes. Being in the medical field, I learned that medication does not heal you. That is not your healer. Medication suppresses your symptoms. It treats the symptoms that you're having that's related to that specific illness or disease. Your body actually has the power. God created us to be able to heal ourselves. What happens is when you have when different pathogens and viruses enter your body builds a defense system against it. But you have some diseases that are more progressive than what your defense system can build against it. So the medication, it pretty much coats your epinephrines and your norepinephrines, which are chemicals in your body that travels to your brain and says, hey, this is hurting me. Hey, I need to cough. Hey, this is there. It basically tells your brain that those things are in non-existence. So it suppresses whatever the symptoms are. It does not heal you. I'm not knocking medication. I'm not telling you not to take it because your faith might not be where mine is. Correct. What I'm telling you that if you want to be healed, you have to go to your creator. You got to go to the one that made you. Mm-hmm. You got to go to the one that knows everything about you. I'm not knocking doctors. Again, I work, my career is in the medical field. So I'm not knocking that at all. Yes. But you have to understand that if you want your symptoms treated so you can live a comfortable life, then by all means, that's your verse. But I never want my symptoms treated. I just want to be healed.
Now, there was a whole lot being said. So now, since you come into reality that you've been praying for a year, and now you stated that you went back to the doctor after a year. Yes. So what happened on that day?
So I went back to the doctor, and I, had everyone send over all of my medical records to her. And, this doctor, she was an excellent doctor. I wish I could remember her name, but I know it was Dr. N something. It was her first year, and she checked me from my head down to my toes. For a course of over maybe like a year or two, she checked everything. I kept going in for pap smears on the regular. She kept doing blood work. She ran every test that she could possibly run.
And what was the results?
Everything came back negative. She
is sitting here clearly saying that she found the cure to HIV and AIDS, and that was because she went to the healer himself, which was God. So as of today, if we look at your health records, before it said that you had HIV, AIDS, full-blown AIDS. And then you went to the health doctor, the doctor himself, and now you are set free and delivered.
Yes. It was HIV.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just HIV. And so now all of my test results are negative. Everything is negative. When I go to the doctor,
negative.
I have nothing. I don't have diabetes.
Negative.
I don't have high blood pressure. I don't have
negative.
HIV. I don't have heart
Negative.
disease. I don't have high cholesterol. I have absolutely
Negative.
nothing.
Can I say it again?
Extremely healthy.
Negative. I'm excited. Stories like this encourages so many people that when they say there is no God, the doctor can even explain this to you. What did she even say to you when she was trying to figure it out herself?
Yeah, she goes, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Well, I gave you the paperwork," and she was like, "Well, are you sure?" You see it in black and white. I see it in black
Are
and
you
white.
sure that you had what you say that you had? Because I'm looking at it on the paper, but what I'm seeing is not making sense.
Yes, and so she asked me, she said, "Well, what did you do?" I said, "I prayed. I went to God."
And then what did she say then?
She was a Christian, and she was like, "I understand." And so, to God be all the glory.
Yes.
I take no credit because I'm no different from anyone out there who may be facing any type of illness, whether it's cancer, whether it's HIV, whether it's tuberculosis, whether it's lupus, no matter what it is that you might be going through. It could just be a broken heart.
Amen.
If you put all your faith in God and you believe in Him and you don't lean to your own understanding, God will do exceedingly abundantly above all you can ever ask or think. He is still a healer. He's the same God that troubled the waters and healed those people. He's the same God that healed the people with leprosy. He's the same God that made the blind see, that made the deaf hear, that cast out demons. He's the same God yesterday, today, and forevermore. And if He did it for me, He's ready and willing to do it for you.
She said it. I don't even have to go after this evangelist right here. But that wasn't the end of her story. And there's so much more. Even after she, went through the rape at a young age, then going to a party, drinking some alcohol that her friend set her up, and she was raped again. Then to come into the knowledge that you have HIV. Now you're in a depression mode because you began to backslide because you fell into the arms of a man because you did not grow up with the father. And you stated, because we talked over the phone, you said that you were always searching for that fatherly love or that male figure love, and you fell into the hands of domestic violence. And I actually had to tell you it was domestic violence because you felt, because he didn't hit you, but he verbally put you through some stuff, which is the same thing. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Okay. So, a little later on in my adulthood, I got into a relationship, and I just decided to love. I'm just going to be free. I'm going to love. I'm going to let down all my barriers, all my guards. I'm just going to love. And so I felt like if I gave the love, I can receive the love. And again, I was in search for the love that I always desired from a male. And so I began to date someone, and the first year was a honeymoon phase. I mean, everything was really good. I had no complaints, no problems.
And when did it fall apart?
Literally right after the first year.
And that's when he started cheating on you and
yes, and then cheating started. He started talking to me in a kind of way, very, very disrespectful, verbally. And I'm like, okay. And so if anyone knows me, I have a mouth. So of course I spoke back. You're not just gonna talk to me like that. And so I noticed that slowly but surely I became silent. I started to get weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. And so
you started compromising with some of his ways.
Oh,
you started being a side chick in your own home. You were cooking for his women, and explain that one, because girl, I'm sitting here like I don't think I could have done that. How did that happen?